Hi everyone, in this video we're going to go over some basic Excel functions. So what I would like for you to do is go into D2L and download this file so you can follow along with me. So it's the university asset data example. So I'm going to pause for 5 seconds while you go and download that. Welcome back. All right, so we have here 6 different questions we might want to ask ourselves about this data. So this is over 13,000 lines of asset data that a university might have. So our first question, what if we wanted to know how many assets were described as pump? So the very first asset is pump. What if we wanted to know how many pumps the university has? One way we could do this is the COUNTIF function. And I say one way because there are multiple ways to do things in Excel, and this is not the only way. But we're going through these functions, so that's the one I want to talk about right now. So to do the COUNTIF function equals COUNTIF, open parentheses, the first thing we need to know is the range. So the range is going to start at the beginning of our column, and it's going to end at the bottom of our column. So I'm just going to hit Control down, and that will bring me to the bottom of my range. Then I'm going to hit a comma to get to the criteria. I need to go back up to the top. Here's where we're going to put in that function. What is it that we want to know about this data? And in this case, what we are trying to find out is how many are pumps. So we want to answer the question, P-U-M-P. We want to know how many pumps we have. So we're going to end that parentheses, and this tells us that we have 92 pumps in this particular organization. The next question is, what is the total cost of fixed assets? That's a pretty easy one. That's just going to be a sum function. So this is just going to be a straight sum. So equals sum of the first number. So we want to know the total. What do we want to know? The total cost. That's going to be our asset amount. So this down through Control down, end parentheses, enter. So this tells us that the total cost of all of these fixed assets is about $225 million. So now we might want to ask ourselves, how many fixed assets does the university have? So the first one gives us the total dollar amount, but now we want to just know how many do we have. We know we have about 13,000 lines of data, so we might want to use, in this case, count A instead of the COUNTIF. So the COUNT-A function will count the number of cells that contain any texts in that range. So that's what we're going to do for this one. So again, equals, you know what, I'm going to use something else instead of the equal sign. We're going to use the insert function for this one. So instead of typing it in, if you're not quite sure what to use, you can use this insert function box as well. So here we have all of them. If you're not sure what you want, you can click on it and it will tell you exactly what it is. We know that we want to use the count A in this case. So you click on it and then it tells you what exactly it is that we want to know. So we want to know the value. We don't care about H. How about if we use B again? So we'll just use B2 through B, I think it was 13127 was the end of our range. And then just click OK. So this tells us that we have 13,126 assets. The next one is going to ask us how many assets were acquired after 2022. So in this case, we want to answer the logic question of, has it been acquired after 2022? So that is going to be the COUNTIF. So if is the logic function. So I'm just going to do COUNTIF, open that parentheses, and now we need the range. So in this case, we're concerned about this acquisition date. So we're going to use F2 through whatever that is, F13127. And we want to, the criteria, what we're trying to figure out is if, I need a, if that item there was before 12/31/2022. Oops, I forgot to close my parentheses. So I'm just going to click no there, click OK, and now I can put my parentheses in here, or my quotation mark. So this tells us that we have 1,388. Oh, and I forgot to do this. This was a count if that were after 2022. Now the next question, what is the total cost of fixed assets acquired? So that's the count, now it's the total. So this one is going to be a sum if. So sum if. So equals sum if, and now we have to give the range. So again, it's going to be F2 through F, and I remember I just hit control down, 13/127. Now I have to give it the criteria. So the criteria is that I want it to be, so I need to have my parentheses, before 12/31/2022, and then I need to tell it what I want it to return. So what I want is, if it meets this criteria, I want the dollar amount for those items. So I want E through, so E2 through E13/127. Close my parentheses, my quotes are all closed. So this tells me that I have 27 million that has been acquired after that time. The last one, are any descriptions missing? So here we want to count the blanks. So count blank. So it's going to tell us if there are any that are missing. So equals count blank, and we want the description. So that is going to be our B. So B1 through B13/127 tells us that we have no blanks. So everything is filled in here. Now, like I said before, there are more ways to do this than just what I've shown you, but these were just some of the functions that I wanted to go over today. That's all for now. See you soon.